Houston. Let's go. Okay, imagine this. You're conducting a panel interview, and the candidate asks your panel mate what the culture is like at your organization. And quite systematically, they start reciting your core values verbatim off the website. But the candidate's already been to your website. They've read your core values, which seem eerily similar to a lot of other companies out there. And I hate to tell you, but if you're leaning on your core values to describe your culture, you got a zombie culture. Because core values are dead. And don't get me wrong, core values and I have had some really great times together. But they've been holding culture up on their back for far too long, and frankly failing most of the time. They linger in the shadows of our handbooks and adorn our walls like a shrine. And don't get me wrong, core values are really great words to aspire on how we should act as an organization. But let's be honest, most of the time companies are just telling us to work harder, be smarter, more creative, work together, and oh, by the way, try not to get us sued. Caca. I was having lunch with a friend a few months ago, and she actually grimaced at an email notification that came through, and it was about culture compliance training being due. Like, what is that? She said, well, we're quizzed on a quarterly basis on memorizing our core values. I said, well, then what? Pizza party? How does memorizing core values enhance your culture? And she just looked at me for a minute, and she said, I don't know, but I have a case of the Sunday scaries. So you should be scared. But here's the thing. Your people don't have to be scared. They have people like us, people in this room, who are defending workplace civilization and bringing core values into a living, breathing work environment. And I know what some of you may be thinking. Well, actually, Marnie, we hired a marketing agency, and they came in and gave us super catchy core values, and then we had booze and swag, and it was really a great time. And that really is. But it's still not your culture. Because even though there's a momentary boost to your culture because of the pomp and circumstance, there's a shelf life to that. It's kind of like that sign that we put up in our bathrooms a few months ago that we don't look at anymore. So let's go beyond the catchy slogans, and let's lean into company vibe. Because core values really are just going through the day-to-day motions. But vibe is the way that people feel when they walk into your door on Monday morning or they log into Slack. It's how they communicate and collaborate and create together and make decisions. And that zombie culture that y'all have, well, that's a warning sign. And the anecdote is culture activation. Intentionally designing an environment that people can actually feel and see when they come into your work environment. So how do we do that? Well, I'm a sucker for acronyms, so I introduced to you SPARK. Think of SPARK as the anecdote tool to your culture activation, you know, with the paddles and the lightning bolts and the energy and the clear, bringing your zombie culture back to life. So first, you're going to set your purpose. And in the book, Unreasonable Hospitality, the group at EMP had the purpose of make fine dining cool. Super simple, uncomplicated, and the group knew how to make decisions moving forward. Then you're going to log into Spotify, and you're going to set your playlist. What is the soundtrack for your organization? Soft jazz, soft rock, punk, death metal. Just like a marketing brand design guide, you need a cultural brand design guide. And now you know where you want to go and how you want people to feel on their journey there. You need to assess the gaps. So look at your customer journey, then look at your employee journey. Where is the culture you strive for, and where are you today? I used to work with a company that would chant to each other, socks on hands, anytime they wanted to rile each other up when things got tough. Long story, but what is your version of that? Rituals make culture come alive. And I can't emphasize this enough. Your people managers and your people leaders are on the front lines of your culture activation efforts. So are they hiring for culture ads? Are they growing people, checking in with people? Do they care? And are you checking in with them? Because they may argue with you about culture activation. And here's the thing. I used to say that if you just hired the right people, they'll build the culture that you strive for. But that's bull. It takes blood, sweat, tears, maybe even a dog to make it happen. But when you add spark to your culture, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing people more engaged, collaborating, and surprise, surprise, they'll be performing better. And what happens when those employees perform better? Your company performs better, and then we're all alive. So what's the culture like at your organization? Is it alive? Is it thriving? Or is it a zombie apocalypse that's just resting on your dead core values? It's up to us to keep the zombies out and keep our cultures alive. Thank you.